Welcome to this explosive breakdown of one of the most shocking moments in daytime television history. Imagine the bright lights of ABC's The View studio, the chatter of an eager audience, and the iconic crowned table where Hollywood's elite mingle with the queens of morning talk. On a seemingly ordinary Thursday in late July 2025, the air was thick with anticipation as Denzel Washington, the two-time Oscar winner, the man whose gravelly voice has commanded screens from Training Day to The Equalizer, stepped onto the set. At 70 years young, Denzel was there to promote his highly anticipated memoir, A Life in Frames, a deeply personal reflection on faith, family, and the unyielding pursuit of purpose amid Hollywood's glittering chaos. The book had already topped bestseller lists, with early reviews praising its raw honesty about Denzel's journey from Mount Vernon streets to global stardom, touching on his Christian faith, his mentorship of young actors, and subtle critiques of an industry that often prioritizes spectacle over substance. The co-hosts Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Sarah Haynes, and Alyssa Farah-Griffina greeted him with a usual fanfare, applause rippling through the crowd as Denzel settled into his seat, his signature smile flashing like a beacon of charisma. Whoopi, ever the industry veteran, kicked things off with light-hearted banter about Denzel's latest action flick, The Covenant of Shadows, where he reprises a role that blends tactical precision with moral depth, drawing comparisons to his real-life commitment to veterans' causes. The audience laughed at his quips about aging gracefully. "I am not slowing down, gravity is just Jalauza," and for a fleeting moment, it felt like the perfect synergy of star power and savvy hosting. But beneath the surface, tensions simmered, as The View has long been a battleground for unfiltered opinions, where celebrities are prodded on politics, culture, and controversy with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. Denzel, known for his measured responses and aversion to partisan traps, had prepared for the softball questions, but Joy Behar, the 83-year-old firebrand with decades of comedy under her belt, had other plans. Her eyes twinkled with that mischievous glint, the one that signals she's about to pivot from pleasantries to provocation. As the segment progressed, the conversation meandered into Denzel's philanthropy, his Spike Lee collaborations, and even a nod to his Broadway triumphs. But Joy's interruption came like a thunderclap. "Denzel, your book is beautiful, but let's be real, where were you during the last election? Hollywood needs voices like yours, not silence," she said, her tone laced with that signature blend of jest and judgment. The studio hushed. Denzel's jaw tightened ever so slightly, a telltale sign from a man who's mastered the art of composure under fire. This wasn't just a question, it was an accusation, echoing the broader cultural demand for celebrities to align publicly with progressive causes, a pressure Denzel has navigated like a tightrope walker over a volcano. In his memoir, he writes extensively about choosing battles wisely, quoting Proverbs, "A time to speak and a time to keep silent." But in that moment, with millions watching, silence wasn't an option. Denzel's response was measured, his deep baritone cutting through the air. "Joy, I've spoken where it mattered, in boardrooms, in communities, in prayers that move mountains. Visibility isn't the only measure of valor." The exchange ignited like dry tinder, setting the stage for what would unfold into a masterclass in dignified defiance. As the cameras rolled, capturing every micro-expression, the audience leaned in, sensing the shift from interview to interrogation. Whoopi tried to steer back, chuckling, "We love you, Denzel, don't mind Joy's New York bluntness." But the damage was done. The gauntlet had been thrown. Little did they know, this would escalate into a viral storm, with clips racking up billions of views, spawning memes, think pieces, and endless debates about celebrity accountability versus personal autonomy. Denzel's presence on The View was meant to celebrate his legacy, but it became a referendum on authenticity in an age of performative activism. And as Joy leaned forward, undeterred, the real fireworks were just beginning. This is the story of how one man's walk-off silenced a nation, or perhaps, finally made it listen. Diving deeper into the heart of the altercation, let's rewind to those pivotal seconds that turned a promotional spot into pandemonium. Joy Behar, with her decades-honed skill for needling guests into revelation, didn't stop at the election jab. She doubled down, her voice rising like a comedian spotting a heckler. Come on, Denzel, you're Malcolm X on screen, but off it. Crickets when it counts. Is faith your shield or your excuse? The words hung heavy, a direct challenge to the spiritual core Denzel has woven into his public persona. From his outspoken endorsements of church-led initiatives to his production of faith-based films like The Book of Eli, the audience gasped collectively, a murmur rippling like wind through wheat, as Denzel's eyes narrowed, and not in anger, but in that piercing focus he brings to roles that demand moral reckoning. He leaned back, finger steepled, buying a beat to summon the eloquence that earned him critical acclaim across genres. Joy. Faith isn't a prop, it's my anchor. I've marched in shadows you never saw, funded scholarships for kids from neighborhoods like mine, advocated for criminal justice reform without a camera crew trailing. Silence on your stage doesn't mean surrender in the streets. His rebuttal was poetry in motion, a blend of vulnerability and steel that recalled his Glory monologue, where words become weapons of truth. Sunny Hostin nodded subtly, her legal background appreciating the nuance, while Sarah Haynes fidgeted, ever the peacemaker. But Joy, unflinching, pressed on, that's noble, but names on checks don't vote. Hollywood's woke army needs generals, not ghosts. The term woke landed like a lit match in gasoline, igniting Denzel's rarely seen ire. He straightened, his presence filling the frame like a colossus awakening. Woke, that's a word diluted by those who weaponize it for ratings. I've been awake since birth, fighting systems that tried to dim my light. Don't lecture me on generals when you've got the megaphone and I choose the mission. The studio temperature spiked. Producers off camera exchanged frantic glances, whispers of cut to commercial lost in the din. Whoopi interjected with her booming laugh. All right, you two, save some fire for the sequel. But the levity fell flat. Viewers at home, from LA living rooms to NYC subways, froze mid-sip, phones already recording for social posterity. This wasn't banter, it was a clash of titans. Denzel's old-school integrity versus Joy's unapologetic progressivism, two forces shaped by years of civil rights evolution yet divided by how loudly one must roar. Denzel's memoir delves into this very tension, recounting a 1990s encounter with activists who accused him of safe roles, a critique he flipped by producing Antwone Fisher, a story of black resilience that healed generations. Here, on The View, history echoed, amplifying the stakes. As the argument swelled, Alyssa Fair Griffin, the conservative voice, chimed in supportively. Denzel's right impact isn't always Instagrammable. But Joy waved it off, her retort sharp. Impact without amplification is echo in a canyon. Denzel's laugh was low, almost sorrowful. Then amplify this. I've turned down roles that pandered, endorsed candidates who earned my trust privately, and built bridges where walls divide. Your show's a forum, my life's the fight. The exchange devolved into overlapping voices, a cacophony of conviction that drowned out the band's cue music. Security hovered at the edges, not yet intervening but poised like sentinels. In those heated breaths, Denzel embodied the dignity he preaches, an unyielding yet uncrude, a stark contrast to the era's cancel culture crossfires. This moment, dissected in post-show analyses from Variety to Vox, revealed the fragility of celebrity sanctuaries, where promotion meets politics in a perfect storm. And as the verbal volleys peaked, the unthinkable loomed. Would Denzel endure or exit? The answer, as it unfolded, would redefine viral valor. Now, let's capture the crescendo, that electric instant when words gave way to action, and the studio became a stage for unscripted drama. Joy Behar, her cheeks flushed with the fervor of a lifelong provocateur, delivered the line that snapped the tether. If you're so battle-tested, why dodge the draft here? Afraid of a little heat from us little ladies? The little lady's quip, meant as self-deprecating humor, twisted into an unintended slight, underscoring the gender and generational chasm between the 70-year-old icon and the 83-year-old host. Gasps echoed louder now, the audience a mix of loyal View fans and Denzel devotees who'd scored tickets for a dream encounter. Denzel's response was swift, his voice a rumble of restrained thunder. Heat? I've walked through fires you debate over brunch. This isn't fear, it's focus. And disrespect isn't debate. He rose then, not in rage but in resolve, his chair scraping like a verdict on the floor. The co-hosts froze, a whoopee mid-sip of water, Sonny's pen halted mid-note as Denzel adjusted his blazer, a gesture of quiet command. "Thank you for the platform, but I've got truths to live, not sound bites to sell." With that, he turned toward the exit, his stride purposeful, back straight as the spine of his memoir's spine. Security materialized seamlessly, not to eject but to escort, their presence a protocol more than a punishment. Though headlines would later scream kicked off, Joy called after him, half laugh, half plea, "Denzel, duh, it's just TV." But he paused only at the curtain, glancing back with eyes that held galaxies of grace and grit. "TV's just the mirror, Joy. Reflect on that." The curtain swished shut, leaving a void that the band filled with awkward applause cues. Back at the table, chaos reigned in whispers, Whoopi shaking her head in disbelief, Sarah tearing up at the rawness, Alyssa praising Denzel's poise off mic. Viewers nationwide hit refresh on live streams, Twitter sorry, erupting in real-time fury and fandom. Denzel walks trends within minutes. Memes of his equalizer glare superimposed over Joy's shocked face flooding feeds. Clips dissected frame by frame. The 2.7-second pause before his rise. The subtle nod to a stagehand who looked ready to applaud. This wasn't a tantrum, it was a teachable exit, echoing Denzel's philosophy from Fences, knowing when to swing and when to step away. Post-incident, insiders revealed the green room buzz at Denzel's team had prepped for tough questions, but not this personal pivot. Joy, in a rare vulnerable aside to producers, muttered, "I pushed too far, he's a class act." Yet the internet divided, progressives decrying his evasion, conservatives hailing his boundaries, and neutral fans dissecting the power dynamics of a black man reclaiming narrative on a white LED panel. Denzel's walk-off wasn't mere departure, it was declaration, a live-action seminar on self-preservation in spotlight scrutiny. As commercial break loomed, the hosts ad-libbed recovery, Whoopi quipping, "Well, that was more dramatic than his movies," eliciting nervous laughs. But the echo lingered, a reminder that even in entertainment's coliseum, authenticity can't topple thrones. This pivotal paragraph in TV lore underscores how one man's measured move can magnify messages louder than any monologue, turning a talk show tiff into a touchstone for discourse. And as the dust settled, the real narrative shifted from conflict to consequence, with ripples that would wash over media, culture, and celebrity ethos for months to come. Shifting to the immediate aftermath, picture the control room frenzy as monitors flickered with incoming calls, social metrics skyrocketing like a box office smash. The View cut to break, but the story broke free, unbound by ad pots. Within the hour, TMZ blasted Denzel ditches View after Joy's jab, complete with shaky fan footage from the bleachers showing Denzel's silhouette vanishing stage left. X lit up with 500,000 posts in the first 30 minutes. Hashtags like #StandWithDenzel and #Joy went too far battling for supremacy. Celebrities chimed in. Spike Lee tweeted a fiery thread defending his collaborator. Denzel's voice is in every frame he crafts, yet all just depth to depth, while Oprah, ever the bridge builder, posted a measured call for empathy. Conversations cut deep when they're real. Respect to both sides. Backstage, Denzel debriefed with his publicist over green tea, unfazed. It was time to go, no regrets, just release. His memoir's launch party that evening in Manhattan buzzed with the buzz of guests from Jamie Foxx to Viola Davis toasting not the book alone, but the boldness. Sales surged 300% overnight, fans snapping up copies emblazoned with the walk-off edition stickers from indie bookstores. Joy Behar, meanwhile, faced the hot seat in the green room, her co-hosts circling like wagons. Whoopi hugged her. "Sis, you know he loves you, it's the format that bites." But Joy, reflective in a way rare for her quick wit, admitted to a mirror confession caught on hot mic. "I admire him, it pushed because I care, but oh if that landed wrong." The episode aired unedited, ratings spiking 40% from the prior week's average, proving controversy's currency. Pundits piled on. CNN's Don Lemon, a Denzel pal, called it a masterclass in micro-resistance, while Fox's Greg Gutfeld mocked Joy's woke whack-a-mole. Online forums dissected racial undercurrents of Denzel's black excellence clashing with the View's predominantly white feminist lenses, sparking essays in The Atlantic on the burden of black candor. Denzel's silence post-exit amplified the moment. No press release, Just a subtle egg story quoting MLK, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." This restraint fueled the fire, positioning him as the anti-Kardashian, substance over splash. By evening's end, late-night hosts Wadeen and Jimmy Fallon replaying the clip with cartoon explosions, Colbert lauding Denzel's elegant eject. The walk-off wasn't fallout, it was fertilizer, enriching discussions on celebrity agency. The View producers, sensing gold, greenlit a follow-up segment, but whispers of Joy's apology terse world. Denzel's team fielded offers. Netflix stock on the incident, Oprah interview, he demurred, focusing on a quiet dinner with Pauletta, his wife of 46 years, where laughter over lobster drowned out the din. This phase of the saga highlighted media's machine-like momentum, how a single stride spins into a cyclone of commentary, commodifying conflict while occasionally catalyzing change. Fans rallied with fan art of Denzel as a gladiator striding from the arena, captioned "Exit Stage Integrity." And as night fell on that transformative Thursday, the entertainment ecosystem pulsed with possibility. What if this sparks a new era of respectful rigor in interviews? The answer lay in the days ahead, but for now, the walk-offs wake-washed waves of wisdom across waves of watchers, proving one man's departure can deliver more dialogue than a dozen debates. Fast forward through the frenzy to the broader cultural reverberations, where this altercation transcended tabloid fodder into a symposium on society's soul. Days later, Denzel's memoir rocketed to #1 on Amazon, its chapters on resilience resonating in our readers' annotating margins with "This is why he walked" think pieces proliferated. The New Yorker's Denzel's dignified departure, a rebuke to performative piety, arguing his exit exposed the hypocrisy of hosts demanding vulnerability sans reciprocity. Feminists on TikTok debated Joy's intent. Was it empowering pushback or patriarchal policing masked as banter? Black Twitter, ever incisive, trended #Denzel didn't owe you, amplifying voices like Ta-Nehisi Coates, who penned an op-ed likening the moment to historical gatekeeping of black male expression. Joy Behar broke her silence on the next View, a monologue laced with levity and lament. "I adore Denzel. My big mouth aimed for spark, not scorch." Lesson learned, even comics need commas. The audience applauded, but skeptics scrolled past, citing her history of boundary-testing quips. Denzel, true to form, responded not with retaliation but revelation. A surprise virtual panel with the National Urban League, dissecting faith's role in activism, drawing 2 million viewers and donations topping $500,000 for youth programs. Hollywood insiders buzzed, agents advising clients to channel Denzel in prickly promo tours, while casting directors eyed him for biopics on stoic leaders. The incident even infiltrated pop culture. SNL's Cold Open spoofed it with Kenan Thompson as Denzel dramatically slow-mo exiting to dramatic swells, earning groans and guffaws. Ratings for The View held steady, but with a twist. Viewer emails poured in, 60% praising the rawness, 40% pleading for more Denzel, less drama. Broader ripples touched education. High school debate clubs adopted the clip as curriculum on civil discourse, teachers noting how Denzel's poise modeled agreeable disagreement. Politically, it fueled fodder. Biden's team quietly courted Denzel for a PSA on unity, while Trump's orbit mummed Joy as fake news feminist. Yet amid the noise, quieter impacts emerged. Denzel's walk-off inspired fan letters from veterans, echoing his Book of Eli ethos, thanking him for prioritizing principle over platform. Joy, in a People interview, revealed a silver lining. A reconnecting with old comedy peers over shared oops moments, humanizing her hustle. This chapter of the Chronicle illustrates how media maelstroms can midwife meaning, transforming a tiff into a textbook on tenacity. As August waned, Denzel headlined the Essence Festival, his keynote a velvet-gloved glove on the glove. Walks aren't weaknesses, their waypoints to wisdom. Cheers thundered, unity blooming from division. The altercation, once a spark, now a steady flame, illuminating fault lines and family-aware authenticity auctions for airtime, and Grace Garner's gold. Critics concurred, this wasn't cancellation, it was coronation, crowning Denzel as custodian of cool-headed conviction. And in living rooms from Compton to Copenhagen, conversations crystallized. What voices do we value? When does challenge cross to chide? The walk-off's legacy lingered like a well-acted soliloquy, prompting pauses in our polarized parade, urging us toward understanding over uproar. In this vein, the story evolves from spectacle to substance, a narrative nudge toward nuanced navigation of our noisy now. Finally, let's zoom out to the enduring echoes, where this heated hourglass flip reshapes the sands of showbiz and society alike. Months on, into October 2025, Denzel's A Life in Frames claims Pulitzer Whispers, its sales eclipsing 2 million, with a special edition audiobook narrated by the man himself, his timbre turning pages into pulses. The View evolves too, introducing Respect Rounds segments, where guests set sacred topics off limits, a nod to the fracas that forced format facelifts. Joy Behar, undimmed, jokes in her stand-up revival tour. I tried to interview Denzel, he interviewed my soul instead. Sold-out crowds roar, reconciliation rippling through routines. Denzel, meanwhile, directs his passion project, a docuseries on unsung civil rights foot soldiers, premiered at Sundance to standing ovations, underscoring his off-screen orchestration. The duo's date on arrives subtly, a joint charity gala for literacy, where they share a stage and spotlights, toasting to tough talks that teach. Paparazzi capture the clasp of hands linked in latter headlining from feud to friendship. Culturally, the moment mentors millennials and Gen Z. Viral vines of Denzel's exit buttoned with boundaries greater than backlash, amassing 1B views. Academia adopts it. Harvard's media ethics course screens the segment, debating the Denzel doctrine, dignity in discourse. Philanthropy flourishes. Denzel's My Brother's Keeper initiative swells with donors inspired by his stand, funding 10,000 scholarships. Joy's Foundation for Women's Comedy triples grants, crediting the Wake Up Walk. Hollywood heeds the hymn. Promo packets now include Vivetters for host-guest harmony, reducing walk-offs to whispers. Late-night legacies linger. Kimmel's recurring Denzel exit challenges poke fun fondly, while Trevo raves about the ripple. He humanized heroism. Globally, translations of the tale trend from BBC panels on American authenticity to Bollywood buzz on boundary bosses. Denzel's faith forum swells, virtual vigils drawing 100K, preaching Speak Soft, Stand Tall. Joy guest stars on his series, her humor honing heartfelt histories. This culmination crafts a coda of convergence, where altercation alchemizes into alliance, proving friction forges fortitude. In reflection, the kicked-off kingpin didn't crumble, he catalyzed, crowning conviction over chaos. As 2025 closes, whispers of a sequel steer a memoir co-write, a movie meta-mockery. Whatever form, the foundation stands. One bold stride sparked a symphony of sanity in our shouty sphere. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the full arc from altercation to awakening. What walks will you take? Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe for more unfiltered unspoolings. Fade to credits, but the conversation, it rolls on eternally.